All right, so I heat treated the W2 blank, got a nice hamon. If you're gonna have W2, you need to do a hamon. My favorite still for hamons. If you wanna learn how to do that, you can go back to the previous one I did for water jet knives, the WJD, little razor looking fixed blade. Same process. So, all right, we have the scales cleaned up the edges so that we can line the black to the black and the green to the green. That's the most important thing when you do this kind of deal. You don't want one sitting off like this because it looks terrible. So I'll go through the rest of the process here in a minute. Ready to drill our holes. So we're gonna just line up the black on the top and the bottom, make sure they're even. Okay, and then we're gonna set the knife on it. And I like the black to come to the point of this finger choil or well. These little things are amazing, called twist cant clamps. I just lightly clamp one on the back side, and then I just make sure we're lined up. These come back a touch. A little too light. There we go. Rotate it up. Just check all the sides. We're off on the top here. If you have a little hammer, sometimes it helps to put your material on a table and then just tap the metal of the blade to where you want it. Check your lines again. We look good. Clamp that sucker down. Okay, check it again after you clamp it. Good. That's looking good. I'm gonna clean this face up here in a little bit after we drill the holes. Take another twist cant, clamp where it's gonna be under the scales so you're not marking up your blade that's gonna be exposed. So I know the scales come like this and up, so I'm clamping over out of the way. Okay, we'll go drill. All right, we're ready to drill. Got a 1/4 inch bit. I made sure that the scale material is even with the knife vise jaws, the tops of them. I know that's square. The blade is sitting above that. So we're just leveling off with both sets of scales. Holes are drilled. All right, so I've taken it off. We've got both pieces drilled. Now I'm just going to oversize these 1/4 inch holes to F-bit size, so there's a little room for wiggle and epoxy. And these 1/8 inch holes are going to be oversized to a number 30 bit. That's what I do on all my knives. All right. Again, clamp it in the vise so that everything is squared up with the knife jaws, and make sure you hold your material. Sometimes these bits like to grab and lift it up, and you can pull that scale up and it'll make a weird oval hole and you'll have to start over, which sucks. I also find that carbide bits cut really quick and sharp. and they don't grab as much. So a lot of times I'll use my carbide bits to do this part of the process. So again, this is an F bit carbide, which is just slightly oversized for 1/4 inch. Do 30. I'm only going to show you the process on one scale. You'll do the exact same thing on the other one as well. So we're now going to make some holes through the liner into the material, just to make sure we get a nice glue purchase, and you're just punching through the liner. Don't go too close to the edge. And I never go in front of this first pinhole. All right, do the same thing to the other scale. All right, so next step, we've got this face. I've pinned them together, put a clamp on it. We're just gonna clean this face up because we can't get to it once a blade's there. It'll make it so we can't sand it. So we're gonna actually make sure this is all evened up, hand polish it, so that when we glue it up, it's just already finished. So I'll go do that on the grinder and clean it up for you. All right, I've got the epoxy mixed up. I cleaned the faces of these up so they're nice and finished. Roughed this surface up on the liners, acetoned the blade, this, and the pins. Now we're ready to glue it up. Just take your 2-part slow cure epoxy. Get all those little holes filled. Make sure you get a good amount up on the front, because you don't want a gap between your blade and your handle at all. It's pretty hard to fix. All right, make sure I get some in these pinholes for when they slide down in. There'll be plenty of glue in there. Do the other scale. You'll find air pockets pop up once in a while in these glue holes like that. All right, take your pins, put them in the right hole. These are the pins I have. They will provide you with pins. I'm not sure what they're coming with. These are just the ones I'm using. Give them a twist. If you're using a mosaic pin, just make sure you clock it how you want it. Some are, doesn't matter. This one's a 3-dot, which I use a lot. You got to make sure that those dots are the right way. When I put the pins in, I just give them a good twist. Okay. Put the knife on. Make sure it's all the way pressed down. Fill these holes up. I like to get them all the way full. I don't like voids. Good place for rust to secretly hide under a handle. So I try to fill them all the way up. Get some glue on the pins. Put the other scale on. I cut these lips from getting extra gluey. Just clamp it up. Give that one a good pinch. You see that glue squeeze out of there. Just what you want. Another one for the back. Glue a nice press. Okay, I check the back too. All right, get another one of these. Clean up those faces. Get that excess glue out of there. Both sides. First wipe is just a dry towel. Now I take the gloves off because acetone doesn't, or I should say acetone loves rubber gloves. And I get some acetone. Cloth. Get in there really well, get the crack. Wipe the entire blade with acetone. Make sure there's no epoxy on the blade. Do the other side. Then some oil. I'm just using 3-in-1 oil. A small piece of towel. I'll do the same thing. Just wipe in there. Make sure there's no oil residue there. Both sides. All right, nice and clean. Then let it cure.